so this is a pre-AP reteach video for test 1.1. We're only going over the questions that were most missed by the highest percentage of students. So that's why we're going to skip around a bit. First, we wanted to start off with some tips for the test. It's helpful to use notebook paper or graph paper to do your work on. That way you're not having to cram them in on the page. By doing this, this helps you stay neat and organized. It's critical to make sure you're answering the question, and working out your computation on your test will increase your chance of error if it's all over the place. So working it out on notebook paper or graph paper just helps you stay a little bit more organized. So let's start with number 5. So it says, which of these does not describe the number 20? So does not. That means that we're basically trying to find the answer that is false. So let's just go through it and figure them all out and see which ones will equal 20 and which one will not. So answer choice A, it's the absolute value of 20. Remember, the absolute value of 20 looks like this. And what the absolute value means is the distance the number is away from 0, not the direction. And what I mean by direction is if it's positive or negative. So if you think about your number line, it's not going left or right on the number line that we're concerned about. We're concerned about how far away from 0 it is. So 20, it is 20 spaces away from 0, so that's the absolute value. So that one does describe 20, so that would not be the correct answer choice. Answer choice B, it's the opposite of 1/20th. So let's just find out what the opposite of 20 would be. The opposite of a number is the same distance from 0, so they have the same absolute value, just a different direction. So if I have my number line here, and we have 0 and 20 would be this way. We want to find the number that's the same distance from 0, just the opposite direction. So that would be a -20. So -20 would be the opposite of 20. So we don't think that B is correct. We think that B would be our answer choice then, but let's check. So C, it says the absolute value of -20. So absolute value is our distance from 0, not direction. So how far away from 0 is -20? It is 20 spaces. So that one does work, therefore it's not our answer. Answer choice D, it says it's the opposite of -20. Remember, we told you guys to think of the negative signs as meaning do the opposite of. So if we have a -20, that means it's the opposite of 20. Now this negative in front of that is saying what's the opposite of -20, and that will give us 20. I'm going to bring everything else down. So we have the opposite of -20. So this -20 is saying the opposite of 20. And then we want to know what's the opposite of that. So the opposite of -20 would give us 20. And that does describe the number 20, therefore answer choice D is not correct. And we were right to assume it was answer choice B. Our next question is going to be number 6. So let me move this over or down. So it says the Venn diagram below compares two sets of numbers. So we see that it's comparing integers. And integers is describing this whole circle. And then there's a circle that's inside that circle. And what that means is whatever's inside this shaded circle is also an integer. So I taught my students to run in with numbers. And it's a funnel. So it starts with rational, integer, whole, natural. And every time it's getting more and more specific. So if it's an integer, it has to be a rational number. If it's a whole number, it has to be an integer and a rational number. So we're trying to figure out what's an integer, and it's inside the description of an integer. So I know that it has to be either a whole or a natural number. So I can just automatically knock out rational and real. And we want to know which label best applies. So yes, they would be a rational number inside here, but we want to know which one is the most specific, the best example. So the shaded region is saying just positive numbers. So we know that whole numbers, it includes 0, it has no fractional parts, and it goes to the right, positive numbers. Natural numbers does not include zeros, and it's just whole positive numbers, so it has no fractional parts. We see that 0 is out here and not included in this circle. Therefore, it can't be whole numbers. It has to be natural numbers. That's the only thing that we have left to choose. Number 7. Between which of the following pairs of rational numbers is 1/3 found on a number line? So my visual is, here's our number line. Here's 1/3. We want to know what number can be on this side and is larger than 1/3, and what number can be on this side and is smaller than 1/3. And 1/3 lies somewhere between here. So we're given the lower value and the upper value. The best way to compare numbers is to convert them to decimals. So I'm going to convert my 1/3 to decimals. We should already kind of know this conversion off the top of our head, but I'll show you the work just in case. So we do our 1 divided by 3. 3 cannot go into 1, so we add a decimal point and then a 0. If I add a decimal point down here, I have to bring it up. 3 can go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract and I get 1. I add a 0, I bring it down. 3 times 3 is 9. I realize this is going to be repeating forever. So what 1/3 equals as a decimal is 0.3 with the bar over it, the bar notation. I usually like to write that out because whenever we're comparing, it's easier to tell. So this is what I do. Now, we already have the upper end of A as a decimal, and if I'm comparing it to my 1/3, okay, in the tens place, they're the same. If I go to the hundreds place, this 2 is smaller than my 3. So this is already, our 1/3 is already greater than our upper limit, so that doesn't work. Now I'm going to compare the next one. Our lower limit for choice B is 0 and 35 hundredths. And the tens place are the same. In the hundreds place, this 5 is greater than 3. It needs to be less than, so answer choice B doesn't work. Now if we go on to answer choice C. Our lower end is 0 and 30 hundredths. So if I compare in the tens place, they're good. In the hundreds place, the 30 hundredths is less than, so that works as a lower end. And then let's try the upper end. So we have 33 hundredths that we're comparing. In the tens place, they're good. In the hundreds place, they're good. We go to the thousands place. If there's nothing here, nothing is the same thing as 0. So this is like comparing 330 to 333. 333 is obviously going to be larger. So that doesn't work. Answer choice C does not work. We can assume that answer choice D is going to be the correct answer, but let's just double check. This lower extremity works. 0 and 3/10. We know that this works because whenever we compare and use our place value, in the tens place it works. If I add a 0, 0 is obviously less than 3, so it works there as well. Our 7/20ths, I need to convert to a decimal. I can convert using place value. I realize that 20 can go into 100, and 7 times 5 is 35. So I have 35 hundredths if I say it correctly, which is the same thing as 35 hundredths. So now if I bring it over here to compare, I have 0 and 35 hundredths. And the tens place are the same. In the hundreds place, 5 is larger than 3, therefore this checks out. 1/3 is located between these, so the correct answer is answer choice D. Number 8. Tyler lives 2/3 miles from his school. He lives 3/5 of a mile from the library, and the grocery store is 4/7 of a mile from his house, and the fire station is 5/8 of a mile from his house. Which of the following places is closest to Tyler's house? So let's think about it. If it's closest to Tyler's house, that means that it has to be the shortest distance. So the shortest distance is going to be our smallest fraction. That logically makes sense. So let's see, I'm going to write them all down in order. So I have 2/3. 2/3 is the distance from the school. And then we have 3/5. And 3/5 is our distance from the library. And the grocery store is 4/7. And then we have the fire station is 5/8. first thing I do is I look at the denominators, and it's really hard to convert all of these denominators to the same thing. We have 3, 5, 7, and 8. To find a common denominator would be difficult, but we can convert them all to decimals and then compare. Again, we're looking for the smallest fraction. So 2/3 to a decimal, I can do 2 divided by 3. 3 can't go into 2. I add a decimal and a 0. 3 can go into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. I subtract and I get a 2. We're going to get a repeating bar notation for this decimal. So 2/3 as a decimal is our 6 repeating. And I'm going to circle it because it makes it easier for me to keep up with it. Just so I can save some room here and not have to scroll, I'm going to erase my work. So our next one is our 3/5. 3/5 I can convert to a decimal using our place value, quick and easy. 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10, so therefore I have 6 tenths. So our library is 6 tenths. Now the gas station is 4/7. So now I usually like to save my fractions that have the denominator of 7 for last, because as we learned in class, the repeating decimal, or 7 as a fraction going to a decimal, it is a large repeating decimal, and it's a lot of work. So I like to save it for last so that we can kind of shortcut our comparison. So let's look at the fire station. We do 5 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 5. We add a decimal and a 0. 8 can go into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract, I give it 2. 8 can go into 20 2 times. We get 16. 4, I bring down the 0. 8 can go into 45 times. We subtract and get 0. So our 5/8 is 0 and 625 thousandths. Now the last one that I have to do is our 4/7. Again, I'm going to erase to give me some room. So our 4 divided by 7. 7 can't go into 4. 7 can go into 40 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. I get 5. Now I can keep going. But if I'm smart, I can realize that all of our other numbers have a 6 in the tens place, right? You all have a 6 here in the tens place. Oops, I erased that one. But our 5/8 was 0. It's 625 thousandths. So let me rewrite that. So again, this one has a 6 in the tens place. A 5 in the tens place is obviously going to be less than. So we want to know what's the smallest fraction. Therefore, it's going to be our 4/7 or a grocery store. So the correct answer is answer choice J. Number 12. So a number line is shown below. Based on the number line, which statement is true? I think this one got really confusing for people because these are really weird fractions. If we look at it, we realize that all 3 of them are improper. And we see this -1 over here to the right. So to the right of -1 is getting closer to 0. And because these are negatives, and just on the number line in general, going to the left is getting smaller. So we know if we're going to the left, we're getting smaller. If we're going to the right, we're getting larger. So let's look at answer choice F. We have -77 over 68 is greater than -43 over 39. So I'm comparing the -77 over 68 to -43 over 39. I've already said that if it's going to the left, or if it's to the left of this number, it's smaller, so that doesn't work. Let's go to answer choice G. We have -43 over 39, and it's saying that this is greater than -59 over 52, so that checks out, but less than -77 over 68, and we know that that doesn't work. Choice H, -59, and it says -59 over 52 is greater than, so we're comparing -59 over 52 is greater than -43 over 39. And if we look at our number line, which is put in order correctly, that is not true. So let's check and see if we're right and if J works. So we have -77 over 56, and we're saying that that is greater than our -59 over 52. That works. but it's less than our negative 43 over 39. That also works. So both of these check out, and it is answer choice J. Again, we didn't have to waste time converting these fractions to decimals. Yes, we could have, but it's already in order on a number line for us. All we have to realize is that it's telling us the correct order, and we have to realize that the larger the negative number, the smaller it is, the further away from 0 it is. All right, number 18. It says 5 numbers are graphed on the number line below. Which of these numbers is not classified as an integer? So let's go over what an integer is. An integer, it includes 0. It has no fractional parts. And it can be negative. So I know the dots are a little bit hard to see, but we have a dot here on the 5, one on the 3, 0, negative 2, and then one in between negative 4 and negative 5. So it includes 0, so we know that's not it. It has no fractional parts, so that means it has to be on a whole number. It can't be off. So the 5 works, 3 works, negative 2 works because it has no fractional parts and it can be negative. So negative 2 works. The only one that we're left with is the one that's in between our negative 4 and our negative 5. So that's going to leave us with negative 4 and 5/10. Our new gradables are a tad confusing, but all we're doing is comparing with our positive and negative. So we have to remember to, because it's negative, we have to bubble in the negative. This is our decimal point, so we just have to make sure to line up everything in the correct place value. This is our ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands. So 4 is in the ones place, and I need to bubble in the 4. Our 5 is in the tens place, and then we have the hundreds place here. So we have 5/10, or 1/2, and we have to bubble in the 5. If you bubbled in zeros, that still works. You still got it correct. All right, number 19, the last question. This one should look really similar to a warm-up that we did in class the week of the test. Really similar. So it says, which of the following is not equivalent, which means equal, to 1 4/10? So let's look at A. We have the opposite, or negative. Remember we said that means to do the opposite of. So we have the opposite of negative 14 over 10. So the opposite of a negative number would give us a positive 14/10. If I convert that to a mixed number, 10 can go into 14 one time. Then we have 4 out of 10 left over. So it's not answer choice A because that is equivalent to 1 4/10. Answer choice B, the absolute value of negative 1 and 40 hundredths. The absolute value is the distance from 0 not direction. So that becomes a positive 1 and 40 hundredths. If I make this into a fraction, we have a 1 and I put 40 over 100. If I simplify that by dividing by 10, I get 1 and 4/10. So that one does work again. Let's try answer choice C. We have the opposite. This is on the outside of the absolute value sign. So we have the opposite of the absolute value of 14 over 10. So the absolute value of 14 over 10 is the distance from 0, not direction. So it'll stay 14 over 10. But we have to remember that it's the opposite of that. So now we have a negative 14 over 10, or 14/10. If we convert that to a mixed number like we did in answer choice A, we get a negative 1 and 4/10. This is not the same as our 1 and 4/10. So I'm pretty sure that answer choice C is my answer, but let's just double check with checking D. So we have 1 and 2/5. If I multiply 5 by 2 and then 2 by 2, I get 1 and 4/10. And yes, that's equal, so that is not our correct answer choice, and we are left with C. All right, so remember, you can go back on this video and look over any questions. Just because we didn't go over a question doesn't mean that you don't need to do your test corrections for it. Again, we just went over the questions that were the most missed. Your retest is Monday, September 22nd. You can either come before school at 6:45 or after school at 2:45. You will be done around 3:15 at the latest, so that is whenever your parents would need to pick you up. All right, good luck studying.